Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Well, today is a very special day. Today is the start of Chaturmasya, and it's the disappearance day of Sanatana Goswami, isn't it? Tirobhav, right? So, yeah. And Purnima.
Jai Vishaka Devi Ki Jai.
Wow, amazing garland.
Flowers from the garden.
Wow. Amazing. The scent is so sweet. And I think everyone knows about Chaturmasya, right? We'll say a little about everything, I guess. Chaturmasya literally means 4 months. And it is more, actually it is what we've heard from Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Gurudev is that it was something that the sannyasis would observe more attentively. And it's an ancient Vedic tradition, right? And the idea is that these are the 4 months of the rainy season, the monsoon in India. And generally sannyasis are expected to always be traveling. That was the custom. That to keep their detachment, they can't stay too long in one place, right? And so generally sannyasis would be traveling, but during the period of the rainy season, then there was this allowance that they can stay in one place. So that was be the period in the year they would stay in one place, but they would also observe stricter vows, right? And so there are many things about it. I don't know, probably some of you can say better than me. But there are some restrictions on what you can eat and can't eat in each month and so on. Special austerities that are supposed to be followed. And we follow in some token way to some extent. There are some other ideas too around Chaturmasya, but I'm not so familiar. For us, actually, what is really significant is the month of Kartik. Right? That is considered to be the month of Radharani. And that is the last of these 4 months. And so that's like October, November time. And so Kartik, we give very special attention to. But otherwise, we don't give too much attention to it. In some light way, right? And it's also, we were mentioning yesterday, we're beginning this month of so many festivals, right? Janmashtami, Radhashtami, Baladev Purnima, Jiva Goswami's Day, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, many, many special days. Rupa Goswami's disappearance day is also in this month. And so in our mat, this would be like a special, it was honored as like a special 1 month celebration, the month of Hari Smaran, literally remembering Hari. Right, so we're beginning that today. Also Julan Yatra, this swing festival, which we don't actually follow, but we honor. That's also in this month. So many, many special days. And it's so fortunate because we're forced to remember. Right? Maybe we don't always remember Krishna consciousness and all these great personalities, but on these days we're very happily forced. Oh, we must think about Sanatana Goswami today. We can't avoid it. So, I think Gurudev probably chose that name, Hari Smaran, remembering. Right, we are being caused to remember all these personalities and their lives and their message. And then today is also Guru Purnima, and it's a tradition, and we also followed it in our mats, and it's also, I think, quite widespread throughout India. Guru Purnima would be a day when persons would honor their guru in some special way, and it was my good fortune to be with Gurudev a few times on this occasion, and on one occasion he at least once when I was there, he came down to the temple, and which he would rarely do, in his later years, right? Not showing such good health. So he would only come to the temple for very, very special occasions, like Gaur Purnima, Janmashtami, like just a few days in the year he would come into the temple. But he came on that day, and for him, for Gurudev, this day was a day to honor Srila Sridhar Maharaj, actually. It was a day to remember his guru. That was what this day was. And I'll always remember, I've told this story many times, but I'll always remember that, because on this day, disciples like to do Guru Puja, right? They like to do an arti for their guru. And I've seen on other occasions that the devotees, they wanted to do a puja of Gurudev, and Gurudev accepted it. just to please the disciples. But on that occasion, when I was there, Gurudev became upset because they were coming with, it was the end of the program, and the devotees were coming with like the arti tray. They wanted to do puja of Gurudev, but Gurudev became actually a little angry about it. He was saying, and they had a Vyasa-san set up with a big picture of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and Gurudev insisted, and he like threw his arm, like, no, for Guru Maharaj. And so they did the arti to Srila Sridhar Maharaj while Gurudev was watching happily. And it made such a deep impression on me that it was very, very clear that everything he was doing was for the service of his Guru Maharaj. And he didn't want one drop of pratishta, right? He didn't want any fame, followers, power, position, zero interest. But everything was for his Guru Maharaj, and he wanted all the glory, honor, worship to go to him. And I saw in some recordings on other occasions he accepted it, but on that day he wouldn't, he refused. And he was very, very clear. So everything that he did, was for the service and glorification of his Guru Maharaj. Even, it really struck me once, I heard on one occasion, it was from Madhusudan Maharaj, he said, one day in the afternoon in Calcutta, Gurudev was, he was saying, he said, Guru Maharaj told me not to open so many temples. And he said, so why have I done so? Right? So many temples all over the world, right? Colombia, Venezuela, Russia, America, all over the world, London. And Guru Maharaj told me not to open so many temples, so why have I done so? And then he said, because in each of those temples, the service and the glorification of Guru Maharaj, that can be glorified, that can be spread, right? That can be practiced. The teachings of Guru Maharaj, the glories of Guru Maharaj, that can be known. So it's a very interesting point, isn't it? Like Gurudev didn't, the stereotyped idea would be, to save the souls of this world, right? Spread the message of Mahaprabhu. But Gurudev had this very specific, very, very, for his Guru, to that point, he's opening temples so that the glories of his Guru can be known, right? The message of his Guru can be known. Very interesting, very interesting. And it's actually very, it's actually a very profound point of Siddhanta, you can say also, because really everything is valuable in our service life according to the degree of surrender that's behind it, right? So like just having some idea, I want to go and save the world, that's actually kind of a generic thing. The point behind that should be, what's the will of your Guru, right? Like, is that some egoistic idea, or is it actually coming out of a service mood, right? Like we can say one person may do the puja, another person may cook, another person may be out preaching in the streets, right? And from one perspective, you may say, the preacher, they're doing the main work. But actually, everything's depending on the mood of surrender and the service connection that's behind, right? Like, what was the will of the Lord and Guru for that devotee, right? Like, Srila Sridhar Maharaj also discusses this. Like, if you look at different associates of Mahaprabhu, they all had very different moods in service. Gadadhar Pandit's very shy and reclusive, right? And then Nityananda Prabhu's, boldly spreading, Gaur consciousness, Krishna consciousness. And so everyone has some different service contribution, right? And so it's beautiful to consider that, like what everything Gurudev did, it was in service to his Guru, Right? It was an expression of surrender to his guru, even though his guru actually told him not to do that. But it was an expression of, and the more advanced devotees, they may show they're qualified to override their guru sometimes, because of their level of devotion. They can do that. Like also in the case of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, right? Oh, well, we can also say, if we go back more, Mahaprabhu tells Nityananda Prabhu to go and spread the name of Krishna. But Nityananda Prabhu disobeys him, right? He spreads the name of Gauranga. So you could say he disobeyed, the order of the Lord, right? But he's doing that, from a very high level, right, of vision, devotion. He's qualified to do that. And then the case of Saraswati Thakur, right, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji told him not to go to Calcutta, right, because for one period, Saraswati Thakur, in the early days, Saraswati Thakur was staying in Mayapur, right. He had a small Braja Patan, it's called. He had a small residence in Mayapur, and he was starting in a very slow way some preaching movement. And then he realized, I have to go to Calcutta. That's the headquarters. But Gaur Kishore told him not to go. He said, that's the place of Kali. Maya is very strong there. You must stay in the safety of the Dham. Right? So don't go to Calcutta. But Saraswati Thakur, he took that in the opposite way. Then he had this idea, my guru is saying Calcutta is the place of Maya. So if I really want to conquer Maya, I have to go to Calcutta. Like that's the strongholds. Calcutta is the city, it's the stronghold. So I have to I have to conquer there, and then everything else will follow. And Gurudev mentioned that he even published in some article, my guru ordered me to go to Calcutta. So the very, mature, advanced devotees, they can do that, right? They have that type of vision. And Gurudev also mentioned one example. It's in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, where there's one place where it's describing how one servitor is speaking a little aggressively to Baladev and also to Satyabhama. And it's giving some example of this mood of devotion. And the servitor is saying, I don't care for Baladev, I don't care for Satyabhama, I will do my seva. And there was one time in the Mat, one of Srila Sridhar Maharaj's godbrothers was working on a translation. Srila Sridhar Maharaj requested him. He was very qualified in Sanskrit. And he was staying in the Mat working on a translation from Sanskrit to Bengali, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And then he would go to Srila Sridhar Maharaj to consult on different points, right? And so he was working on this translation. He came to this point and he could not understand it. And so he, how can the servitor speak so rudely? Baladev is our guru, Satyabhama is Krishna's queen. And so he went to Srila Sridhar Maharaj to ask him, how can I understand? And Srila Sridhar Maharaj explained, this is a very advanced type of devotion, right? Where the servitor may instruct the master out of love, right? May tell the master, and out of it's actually out of a very deep service mood and attachment. And Gurudev gave an example, like if the table is dirty, right, and your guru is going to clean it, are you just going to, Gurudev, yes. No, you say, no, Gurudev, you sit down. I will worship you. This is my seva. I will clean, right? And you see that, more mature servitors, in our experience also, they have this strong attachment, right? Even if someone says, sit down and relax, no, I have to do my seva, right? And so our Gurudev very much, he had that type of mood. And in those later years, right, in Navadvip, we hear how our Gurudev, he had to go to Calcutta sometimes for different duties, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj didn't like to let him go, and so he would sometimes, like, Gurudev would leave, and then Srila Sridhar Maharaj would send someone, like, to bring him back, and like to send someone by a shortcut, like to intercept him on the road, the bridge. He'd send someone, because when you're going by car, you have to go this long way. But if you're walking, there's a little shortcut. You can go up to the bridge. And so he'd send someone, Gurudev would be going out in the motor car to Calcutta. And other times sometimes he would send someone to Calcutta, like to bring Govinda Maharaj back. Bring Govinda Maharaj. And we heard so many stories of that, Janardhan Maharaj, he told one story, how it's actually a little shocking. It was always going on. Srila Sridhar Maharaj he would send someone. It was like a very common thing, and Janardhan Maharaj, like if someone was going, he might also tell Govinda Maharaj, but this one occasion, and then he might specially send someone also. That Janardhan Maharaj told this one story that he had to go to Calcutta. And he went to say goodbye to Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, "Oh, maybe I will ask you to do something." And Janardhan Maharaj knew, he's going to ask me to tell Govinda Maharaj to come back, And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj wrote a note, saying something, come back to Navadvip, and he gave it to Janardhan Maharaj, and Janardhan Maharaj gets to Calcutta. I don't know if I should say this while we're recording, but then Janardhan Maharaj handed it to Gurudev. Gurudev read it, and he crumpled it up. He crumpled it up and he threw it. They had this very intimate relationship, actually, very intimate relationship.
You don't know what it said.
We can assume it was saying, please come back to Navadvip, something like that. But Gurudev's feeling, I'm here doing your seva, Guru Maharaj, I'm doing your seva here, I'll come later. And we heard this other story. Gurudev told this really wild story of one time Srila Sridhar Maharaj sent some brahmachari, especially, to bring him back. But the brahmachari was so rude. And he came to Gurudev and he's like, Guru Maharaj is requesting you, come back to Navadvip. And Gurudev said, okay, I'll come. I have to finish some work here. But he wouldn't leave him alone. And he was quite rude about it. And Gurudev was surprised because he said, actually, nobody can talk to me like this. Usually no one can talk to me like that. And he said, because I was Guru Maharaj's favorite. And so everyone respected me. And he wasn't saying it out of ego. It was just like curious, like how he can talk to me like this. He was like surprised, And it was going on like the whole day. And like, Guru Maharaj is just ordering you. Come back to Navadvip. Like the whole day following him around. And finally Gurudev was able to dismiss him, I think, and then he left him. But Gurudev was puzzled and thinking about it. Well, how he could talk to me like that? And then he thought, now I understand, because he has so much love for Guru Maharaj. He has so much love for Guru Maharaj that he's forgetting anything else. Right? And out of love for Guru Maharaj, he's speaking to me so harshly. Right? And then the Gurudev was happy, right? Very sweet. The story continues. And so then some time goes by, and that same devotee, that brahmachari, he announced he wanted to take sannyas. And he went to Srila Sridhar Maharaj and asked for sannyas. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj consulted with some of the other devotees of the Ma. Like I remember he asked Sagar Maharaj and a couple others, maybe Rama Didi also. And like senior members of the Ma, he asked them, what do you think? Do you think he's... And everyone said no. Everyone said no, he's not qualified. But then, that man, he was very clever, and he knew that Srila Sridhar Maharaj would do whatever Gurudev told him. And so that brahmachari went to Gurudev, and before he was so aggressive, right, and rude, and now he came very humble. And he said, "Oh Maharaj, please, I really want to take sannyas, and can you talk to Guru Maharaj and convince him?" Because Guru Maharaj said no, because Guru Maharaj told him no, because the others were recommending like that. And so he went to Srila Govinda, please, tell Guru Maharaj to accept me, I really want to take sannyas. And Gurudev thought about it, and he said, are you really sure this is what you want to do? And he said, because if you cannot keep up your sannyas, it will all be on me, right? Because everyone else in the mat is against it. So if you cannot maintain your sannyas, all the blame will come to me. And the man, he said, I will absolutely maintain, and I can go and drown myself in the Ganga, but I will not leave my sannyas. And Gurudev said, are you really sure? And he also told him, actually, for Vaishnava life, it's not necessary to take sannyas. You can just take the holy name, practice Trinadapi Sunichena. It is not necessary. But that man insisted, and Gurudev was thinking, and he remembered that occasion previously when that same brahmachari had been so rude to him. And he thought, this is his qualification. Because he said he must love Guru Maharaj so much that he could speak to me so rudely, so that then he must be qualified. This is Srila Govinda Maharaj, so humble, so magnanimous, right? And so Gurudev thought, okay, he's qualified. And so he went to Srila Sridhar Maharaj and he told him, Maharaj, I really think that this man, he can maintain his sannyas, and I'm recommending that you give sannyas to him. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, are you sure? Because, everyone else is against it, but are you really sure? Gurudev said, yes, I'm sure. He's very devoted to you. And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj agreed. And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj gave him some sannyas, and then a few months later, he leaves. He left the mat, he left his sannyas. But wait, it doesn't end there. Then he sent Gurudev a letter. And he told Gurudev, it is your fault. So it is your responsibility. It is your responsibility that I could not keep my sannyas. It is all your responsibility. It was saying because Gurudev had also said before, I will be the responsible one. All the blame will come to me. And so he was remembering that and telling Gurudev, it is your responsibility. I could not keep my sannyas, Such a rascal, so rude. But I like it as an example of Gurudev's nature, right? So believing, right? So trusting, and so humble also that he considered it that man's qualification that he was rude to him, right? With Gurudev's magnanimous vision, he saw that as an expression of his devotion, right? Actually, he was just rude, and he was a rascal, right? But Gurudev, with this high, Paramahamsa vision, he's thinking, he has so much devotion for Guru Maharaj, right? So Gurudev also mentioned, sometimes I get into trouble, for believing in everyone. He said, mostly I have a good result, but sometimes I have a bad result. Very, very beautiful, beautiful heart. And I wanted to say something also about Sanatana Goswami, because he's so important for us. He is the Acharya of Sambandha Gyan, right? Sambandha, I think everyone here knows, right? Sambandha Videya Prayojam. You're familiar with these now, Ananga Manji? You remember? You think so? All of the teachings of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, you can say, they can be put in these three categories of Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojam. And Sambandha means understanding the true nature of things, understanding what is what. Like understanding I'm a spirit soul, I'm not this body, and I'm in this material environment, I'm under the influence of Maya, my real nature is loving servant of Krishna. All of this is Sambandha Gyan. And then Prayojan means what is the goal. And that is Krishna Prema, right? Divine love for Krishna. That is the highest attainment of the soul. And then Abhideya means the practice or the way. So that means the practices of devotion, like Nava Vidya Bhakti, right? 9 practices: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, all of these practices of devotion. That is the way, the path. And so these are like 3 categories of knowledge, teachings that are given to us. And then there are different acharyas who are associated with each of these tattvas. So Sanatana Goswami, he is known as the Acharya of Sambandha Gyan, because in their writings they elaborated upon these topics, right? So Raghunath Das Goswami, he is known as the Acharya of Prayojan Tattva. And then Rupa Goswami is known as the Acharya of Abhideya. And so why is Sanatana Goswami considered the Acharya of Sambandha Gyan? Because Mahaprabhu personally instructed him for 2 months on that subject matter. And it's a big portion of, it's recorded in a big portion of Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? It's like maybe 4 or 5 chapters. And for 2 months, Mahaprabhu personally instructed him. And this is in Prayag, or nearby, maybe not exactly Prayag, but a neighboring area. And it all started out with the first question, Ke Ami. You know that, you're a Bengali girl. Ke Ami, what does it, Ke Ami mean? Yes, who am I? Yeah, who am I, what am I? So there were like 5 questions. Ke Ami, Kene Amai, Tare Chapa Choi, why am I suffering? Who am? These are like the main questions. Everybody should be asking this. This is what they should be teaching in the schools, right? Who was it who... Oh, I think it might have been Madhusudana Maharshi. He mentioned, like as soon as he heard about Krishna consciousness, he thought, why weren't they teaching this in the schools? This is the main thing. This is the main thing. So who am I? Why am I suffering? How can I achieve... how does it go? Kene amai tare chapa joy. Yihar nahi jani. I can't remember. But along those lines, who am I? Why am I suffering? How can I achieve my greatest... how can I realize the highest attainment? How can I... That's it, hita. How can I benefit myself in the highest way, like that. And so this whole conversation starts with these 5 questions, and then can you guess how Mahaprabhu started? And you probably know that verse. Do you know that verse? Jivera Sarupa Hoy?
Oh, Krishna Nitya.
Very nice. Very nice. Do you remember the rest of it?
Not off the top of my head, but I think if you said it, I'd know it.
Okay. Jivera Sarupa Hoy, Krishna Nitya Das, Krishna Tatasta Shakti, Beda Bed Prakash. Right? That all the souls, that constitutionally, the souls are servants of Krishna. Right? This is their constitutional nature. And they are also Beda Bed Prakash. They are simultaneously one with and distinct from the Lord. And then in the next verse, which I don't remember, he gives the analogy like one spark of a fire or one ray of the sun. Right? You cannot say they're exactly the same. You cannot say they're exactly different also. Of course, this is a simplistic way of looking at it, but in a simplistic sense. And actually, it's a very extraordinary explanation. It's very simple, but very profound and very harmonizing. Because this is like a huge theological debate, right? Are we one with God? Are we God, or are we separate from God? And there are many different angles of view on that. And all the Vaishnava Sampradayas, of course, they're maintaining that we are distinct from the Lord. But Mahaprabhu has this special addition, right? That we are both, actually. It's a very, very harmonizing. So Achintya Beda Bed, right? This is Mahaprabhu's conception. Achintya Beda Bed Siddhanta. We are inconceivably, simultaneously one with and distinct from the Lord. Right? But anyhow, that's a whole other discussion. So this was Mahaprabhu's first answer, right? And then so much discussion. So we hear a lot about Sanatana Goswami, actually, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, many wonderful stories, and very, very humble nature, right? And how he and Rupa, right, how they lived their lives, it's very inspiring, because they had to tolerate so much, actually. They were recruited by the Muslim government, that Nawab Hussain Shah, right, who wasn't one of the nicer, Muslim rulers. He was very violent, aggressive, and destroyed many Hindu temples. But they were like forced to work for him. And we hear in Chaitanya Charitamrita how they had this secret, in their first meeting with Mahaprabhu, right? It was like this secret meeting. Later on, they could leave. They were able to leave their government entanglement. No, Sanatana Goswami has a jailbreak, right? That's one of my favorite parts of Chaitanya Charitamrita. He has to break out of jail and travel secretly as a fugitive to come to Mahaprabhu. So that was later, but earlier on, they're still trapped in this government work, and so they have this one very, in the middle of the night, they go undercover and secretly meet with Mahaprabhu's in Ramkelli. I forget the new name, the modern name, but the outskirts of Bengal, I think. And Mahaprabhu's planning to go to Vrindavan, then they come and meet him there at Ramkelli. And many, many beautiful prayers that they chant. I think they chant Namo Mahavadanyaya there. Some of these famous prayers that we chant, they're expressing this to Mahaprabhu when they meet him there. And it's interesting because in the beginning, Mahaprabhu, he doesn't allow them to leave their government service. And there's this one letter that he writes. And we can also think, right, the lives of these great souls, they're actually, in a sense, they're living for us, right? They have their own like inner bhajan, their own inner world of service, their own relationship with the Lord. But on one level, everything they do is to teach us, right? It's a lila, right? And so it's very interesting that in the beginning, Mahaprabhu tells them to stay in their current situation. And they send Mahaprabhu the secret letter asking him for permission. Oh, please, we want to leave this life and we want to stay with you. And then Mahaprabhu sends this very cryptic response where he tells them that he simply tells them a married woman who has a secret lover, she will carry out all her household duties very perfectly, right? And saying, that, we may have different duties in the world, but within our heart, we know what's really, important, what's really meaningful, and we cultivate that in our heart. Right? It doesn't have to be, a public exhibition, right? So it's a very wonderful instruction for all devotees, very practical, right? Very practical. And Gurudev would give that as an example sometimes, the devotees. And Mahaprabhu also gives similar instruction to Raghunath Das Goswami too in the beginning. Keep it in your heart and go on with your duties in the world. So but then later on they're able to escape, and Rupa Goswami is able to leave in an ordinary way, but the king is very attached to Sanatan and he won't let him go. And so Sanatan kind of like gets himself put into prison, like deliberately gets in trouble. So he gets put into prison, and then he manages to bribe the jailer, right? But then one of my favorite sections in Chaitanya Charitamrita is with Sanatan Goswami, when so then later Sanatan is like posted in Vrindavan, and Sanatan and Rupa Goswami, they were given this very special mission by Mahaprabhu, right, to discover the lost holy places of Vrindavan, the lost sites of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and to restore, Vrindavan to what it actually is. Because I think largely because of the Muslim rule, right, many temples were lost, and also just the passage of time, right. Some deities were hidden away, that was also an issue, like for protection. And so they were given this task to identify the holy places, Radha Kund, Shama Kund, right, all these holy places, and then have them stand as some honorable pilgrimage site, right? So they had this special service, and then also they're putting Mahaprabhu's teachings into writing, because Mahaprabhu didn't really write, right? And obviously it's not that he's saying something different than what's already given in the scriptures, but the scriptures are presenting many different things, right? And so Mahaprabhu is showing in his teachings what is the real conclusion of the scriptures. And then Rupa and Sanatan Goswami and the other Goswamis also, their duty was to put that into writing and showing. Jiva Goswami did so much also for that. And showing evidence from the scriptures, right? This isn't just some new thing that's sprung up, but this is the real conclusion of the scriptures. And so in their writings, this was, they're referred to as Shastra Guru, right? Rupa and Sanatan, they're referred to as our Shastra Gurus, because they're giving, modern Shastra in their writings and showing what is the real conclusion of the ancient Shastra. So later Sanatan Goswami is posted in Vrindavan. But there were a few occasions when he traveled to Puri to meet with Mahaprabhu, to visit Mahaprabhu and the other devotees there. And then there's this one occasion when Sanatana Goswami on his, because it's a long journey. It would take a few months, I think, going by foot, traveling from Vrindavan to Jagannath Puri. And so there was one occasion he went, and he came in contact with some bad water, some dirty, contaminated water, and he contracted this infection, a horrible skin infection, right? I mean, literally to the point where he has pus. He has like these horrible sores, and he's got pus oozing out of these sores in his skin. And he gets to Jagannath Puri, and Mahaprabhu is just so ecstatic to see him. Mahaprabhu goes to embrace him, and Sanatana says, no, don't touch me. But Mahaprabhu doesn't care, and then this pus is like smearing on Mahaprabhu's body, and Sanatana's feeling so bad, and he keeps trying to go back, but every time he meets Mahaprabhu goes to embrace him, and there's one very sweet line where he says, Mahaprabhu tells him, you're so pure, you can purify the whole universe, and things like this, but Sanatana's feeling so bad, to the point that he finally decides he's just going to commit suicide, and he comes up with this plan. He's gonna, I think it's just before the Rath Yatra, and I think his plan was to throw himself under one of the wheels, something like that, because he just can't tolerate, that his illness is, coming upon Mahaprabhu, and he feels so bad. And of course Mahaprabhu is omniscient, he knows everything, and so the day before, Mahaprabhu comes to him, and he tells him, oh, Sanatana, what are you thinking? And he says, and then what he tells him is very, very sweet. He says, actually, you belong to me. He says, you are my property, and you have no right to destroy someone else's property. So you have to take care, you have to take care. And Haridas Thakur is actually standing there too, and Mahaprabhu turns to him and he says, can you believe this, Haridas? He wants to destroy someone else's property. What do you think about this? Very, very loving, very sweet. And he also tells him, there's so much work that I have to do, and I need your help. I cannot do this without you, and I'm expecting you to do many things that I cannot. So, we have many things to do. And it's very, very sweet and very profound, this vision. And this is also how we can adjust things in our own practice, right? In our own care of ourselves, right? That we and our Gurudev actually, he wrote something similar to Bimala, right? Bimala, she's a very wonderful devotee in America. She's from originally Brazil, actually. But she cannot take care of herself. Even now, she cannot take care of herself. And so her whole life, she's been serving, 30 years at least. She went to support the ladies' ashram previously in California, and she's never left, and she's still collecting. Now she's 70-something, I don't know. But she's always had this problem that she won't take care of herself. And she actually showed me a letter that Gurudev sent her once, and he said, what Mahaprabhu told to Sanatana Goswami. He said, I don't remember his exact words, but something like that you belong to me and you have to take care of yourself. Because she can't identify with self, like taking care of herself. So think of yourself as belonging to me, he told her, something like that. And you have to take care of yourself, like that. So it's actually a very beautiful way to adjust this, right? That because sometimes devotees can become a little too extreme, right, and neglect themselves. But we have to think, actually, we are the property of Guru and Gauranga, and we have to take care of their property. Not everything is connected with the center, right, in the vision of the Vaishnava. I'm taking nice prasadam, because I have to maintain this body for their service. Everything is connected. This is the life of a devotee, right? This is Vaishnavism. That on the surface, everything can look the same. A devotee may dress very nicely, but they're thinking, I want to look nice for Krishna. I want to look nice for the devotees, right? But to someone else, they won't, understand, oh, this devotee likes to dress very nice. But they're not thinking for themselves, right? They're always thinking of that higher connection. So this is Vaishnavism. It's a very beautiful and accommodating, harmonizing, positive conception. Here we have this beautiful building here. We're living in a very nice, comfortable, beautiful building. We're thinking this isn't our house, right? Actually, nothing belongs to us. This is Krishna, this is Mahaprabhu's house, right? And we're honoring his house, right? We're taking Mahaprabhu's remnants, but we are taking it as serving. We are serving the remnants of the Lord. So this is a very interesting thing. Everything depends on the inner conscious adjustment, right? There's a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam I like very much, and it's kind of discussing the three modes of nature and how there's different associated, modes of living, right? So Manam tu satviko vaso begins like that, saying that a life it's spoken by Krishna himself. So he says a life in the mode of goodness is in the forest, right? And it's speaking in terms of analogy also, right? The whole concept, the whole concept of living in the forest is, the idea is a simple life. Right? Clean and simple life, simple living, high thinking, right? This is the idea. So this is life in the mode of goodness in Sattva Gun. And then it mentions next life in the mode of passion, Rajagun. That is in the city, right? And then it says life in the mode of ignorance. Tamasam Dutta Sadhanam. Life in the mode of ignorance is in a gambling house. But then in the last line, the Lord says, he says, Ma Niketam Nirgunam, something like that, saying, but life in Nirguna, that is with me. Right? Nirgun. So Nirgun means what is beyond the modes of nature. And so what he's saying is that may take any form. It's not like, in this, like in the mode of goodness, very simple, restricted life. No, in Nirguna, one may be living in a palace, right? One may be living in a city, or in some very special circumstance, maybe in the gambling house. But the connection is with Krishna. So that's transcending the circumstances, actually. It's not restricted to some particular mode of life. That may take any form, right? That may take any form. I'm reminded, Gurudev, he told this one story, a very funny story. It was one of the disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and they would go out on collection to different businesses and asking for donations for the cause, for the Gaudiya Math. And so on one occasion there was some group, who were they, Marwaris or something? I don't remember. There were some businessmen, they kind of played a trick on one of the sannyasis of the Gaudiya Math. So he went and asked them for some donation, and he said, and they said, oh, yes, we will give you, but not here. Go to this address. So they wrote out an address. Go here to collect the donation. And so that sannyasi went there, when he opened, it was a prostitute. And she's very surprised, to see this sannyasi here, and he's like completely in shock. And then he became very angry, and he left, and he went to his guru, he went to Saraswati Thakur, and he was so angry and disturbed, he was like blaming him and saying, "Oh, is this what we are supposed to do? We have to even go to a brothel? This is what we are expected to do?" And Saraswati Thakur responded to him saying, "Yes." He said, "For the service of Krishna, we must be prepared to go anywhere and everywhere. This is the real principle of Vaishnavism. Not that we hide from anything, right? But that we're actually ready to face anything. But we will see it with this Krishna-centric vision, right? Maybe any circumstance, but the connection is that higher plane, right? And that service focus is always there. So it is not that, we will just stay safely in a certain environment. But no, for the service of Krishna, we may have to face all kinds of situations. And in those situations, we will not be overcome by that environment, but we will maintain everything with the connection of Krishna, right? This is the real principle of Vaishnavism. Of course, Srila Sridhar Maharaj also discusses this point. For our own protection, we may have to stay in some safe environment, right? We may not be strong enough to go to the gambling house, right? But that is the actual principle of Krishna consciousness, the actual principle of Vaishnavism. It is not that, we are not about being sattvic, right? That's not our thing, right? Shuddha sattva, right? Pure goodness. That means with the service connection. So then we can do anything, then there's, example of little less extreme than that one. But Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj, right? When they're eating in some restaurant, they need something to eat, and the food has some onions in it, right? And someone's complaining, there's onions, how can we eat this? And Goswami, Bhakti Saranga Goswami is saying, you're seeing onions, I'm seeing Mahaprasad, right? This is Krishna's grace upon us, right? So this is the real principle of Krishna consciousness, right? It's just so perfect. It's so perfect. As Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, any normal thinking person, they can appreciate this. Well, maybe we'll stop here for today. And I think many of the devotees are going for the Rath Yatra. Okay, very nice. Very nice. Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Deva Goswami Maharaj. Jai. Who wants to sing? I will second that. Hare Hare Rama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Hare Hare Rama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopal Govinda Ram Shiva Sudana. Gopal Govinda Ram Shiva Sudana. Giridhari Gopinath Madanmohan. Giridhari Gopinath Madanmohan. Chaitanya Nityananda Priya Nityananda. Chaitanya Nityananda Priya Nityananda. Radha Shiva Hari Gaura Bhakta Radha Shiva Hari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Upasanata Madhura Kumara. Jai Upasanata Madhura Kumara. Shiva Gopala Bhatta Jaya Guna. Shiva Gopala Bhatta Jaya Guna.